Hello, and welcome to the Gunnison Irrigation Ditch Study. Irrigation systems and moving water from point A to point B has been around since early human existence and have been crucial infrastructure developments for cities and towns around the globe. These systems had led to development in human culture, economy, and efficiency. While there are thousands of canals, irrigation routes, and rivers around the world, I would like to turn our focus to one I have worked on and managed over the last 4 years, and that one is the Gunnison Irrigation System. Originally founded by the founding fathers of Gunnison, it has stood the test of time and is now nearing the 100-year-old mark. While the path of the water takes has differed, there has always been the same goal to achieve, having irrigation water for residents of Gunnison to use during the summer months. This was in the minds of the engineers and founding fathers of Gunnison and is still in the minds of the engineers and managers of the system today. There has never been a formal water quality test completed on the ditch system. The city needs data on the ditch system in order to understand what kind of nutrients are going on within the ditch system. It is crucial so that we do our part in the Gunnison Valley to meet Regulation 85. Regulation 85 deals with nutrient loading within Colorado waterways, and the Gunnison River has been exempt since its founding in 2015, but is now being brought into Regulation 85, and there is a greater need to understand where the nutrient loading is happening. Along the Gunnison River, we already know that too much nutrient loading is happening from about 1 mile south of Crested Butte to 3 miles west of Gunnison. The question now is, where's the nutrient loading occurring? This study will give the city of Gunnison a better idea of what the water quality is of the ditch system, what we are discharging back into the Gunnison River, and where, if any, nutrient loading is occurring along the ditch. These points will be addressed under Regulation 85 lens in order to do our part and keep our water quality of Gunnison River at its finest. The area my community sponsor, the Gunnison Water Wastewater Department, and myself chose to focus on was our main ditch that brings in the flow of water for most of the residents of Gunnison. It is a 4-mile stretch of ditch that we maintain and has open ditch as well as closed pipe. We settled on testing the water quality of this ditch as it has 5 times the amount of any other ditch we maintain and borders the most amount of cattle grazing land, an area that we thought would be a significant amount of nutrient loading, especially with phosphorus. The ditch also has flumes, culverts, headgates, and splits that we can use to control the water, get water measurements, and control pressure through the irrigation months. It is also important to note that we discharge the most amount of water back into the Gunnison River through our main ditch, something we need to focus on and keep in mind when conducting a study of this type. We have full access to it, and it will help us to get a better baseline of the system before moving on to narrowing down where the non-point source nutrient loading is occurring, if any. The reason for the study is to mainly do our part to find out the water quality of the ditch system in order to be in compliance for Regulation 85 standards. It also helps to close a data gap that has been formed over many decades and will lead to greater knowledge of the water quality of the irrigation system. Another problem that has been stemming from the ditch system is a lack of maps and GPS coordinates along the system. Our system within town has been very expertly digitized and mapped for better infrastructure and efficiency purposes, but the main ditch flowing water into town has had its issues with mapping and problem areas. While there are also potential problems focusing our time and funding into water quality, Regulation 85 and GIS mapping can greatly improve our data and help us to address other problems along the main. When the main ditch turns on at the start of May, we start collecting data. This is done by moving around to 7 test points with a ladle and a sample bottle along with the testing sheet. All of our testing points are close to a flume, weir, or gates of some sort so we can get an accurate measurement at what the water level is at in cubic feet per second. Writing down the CFS is the first thing that we do when arriving to a sample site. Usually, this step has to be taken first and foremost to set the ditch at the correct level for water pressure and quantity for the customers in town before any sampling is ever collected. Once the correct setting and CFS are measured, we move on to collecting the sample. The sample bottle is carefully opened, the lid placed on a sheet of paper where no contamination should happen. Then the ladle is introduced into the water in the middle of the stream and gathers the water. Once the ladle is full, the ladle is brought up and poured in the sample bottle. Once enough water is collected, the sample bottle is carefully closed. The testing sheet is then filled out with the date, time, collection point, CFS reading, air temp, water temp, and who the sample was collected by. After this, the samples are accompanied with their testing sheets and are taken to the wastewater lab and processed for nutrient loading. The bottom portion of the sheet is filled out by the technician on duty, and then it is returned to the worker that took the collection to file it away. Once this has been completed for the summer irrigation months, all the data is uploaded into an Excel sheet and recorded. Once this is complete for the entire summer irrigation months, then a year's worth of data has been collected and organized for use once the project is complete. As so many lives, projects, and economies around the world were affected by COVID-19, this project is no different.Gunnison's wastewater treatment plant lab was achieving a renovation when COVID-19 struck. This delayed the lab from being complete in the summer months and has delayed the project further, while also narrowing our chances to test for nutrient loading and achieving a desirable baseline. This has delayed the project by a full year, as we had set out to collect samples for the 2020 summer months, but couldn't be achieved due to the fact that the lab was not completed in time. There were other factors that also hindered the project time, such as contact tracing and the COVID virus affecting our work crew. This created crews that were not full, but we needed to focus our attention to doing the required work before moving on to extra work such as this project. To combat these issues, we have relocated funding to hire more temporary workers for the 2021 irrigation season, which will help complete the required workload quicker so data can be gathered every week on the ditch system. This will also help the efficiency of the crew in general, as we can better allocate our man hours to pressing projects and other projects and studies that we have wanted to complete but just have never had the manpower for. The future of this project has been secured with the funding for 2 new temporary workers, as well as a full and completed set of maps for the main ditch. The completion of the wastewater lab was also very successful in order to have access to a lab for the processing of samples. Since everything has been secured for this project for the next 2 years, we need to start thinking about the next steps that will be taken after. This project, once complete with data, will go onto the desk of City Council members. They will have the option to be able to come to a consensus about what next steps need to be taken with the irrigation system. While we have just no idea what our water quality will look like and what gaps will be closed within this data, it is hard to speculate on what steps will be taken or what steps can even be advised at this point. One thing that we do know for sure is that the data gap will be closed in an area of Gunnison that has never been looked at in near its 100-year lifespan. In Summarization, the Gunnison Irrigation Ditch Study aims to close water quality data gaps along the main ditch, supply the water department with better and more thorough maps, and do our part to work on meeting the outlines of Regulation 85. These goals will be achieved by monitoring the water quality of the irrigation system for 2 to 3 years. To achieve monitoring, we will be testing 7 different points on a weekly basis for nutrient loading. Once this is complete, the data will be compiled for the summer month, and once all ditch seasons and data are complete, then the data will be organized into a report and sent off to City Council. To negate and shrink our data gaps and problems, steps have been taken for the success of this project. Better funding allocation for more labor has been our biggest obstacle, but has now been tackled. Access to a completed lab has also been completed within the last 8 months and now gives opportunities for all samples to be processed in-house so fewer errors occur. A new set of GIS maps and coordinates have also helped improve the success of the project lifespan, as other workers, master students, and undergrad students have the blueprints laid out in front of them, so collection from the same spots happens for the years of this project lifespan. This project will answer questions about Regulation 85, close data gaps on water quality, have environmental data collected, support the efficiency of the ditch system, and help guide decisions with hard data and science to do our part in helping with the clean waterways for the Gunnison Valley. While I also have this platform, I would like to make 2 short announcements within the water department. We will be turning on the irrigation ditch system on May 17th, and this year we are going to take a new initiative. We are asking that all homeowners with open ditch to clear the debris out of the ditch. Clearing debris such as sticks, branches, leaves, trash, and rocks will help to improve the flow and efficiency of the system and allow us to focus on other, bigger projects for the ditch system to run more efficiently. Your help with this is greatly appreciated and will help us to get the system up and running faster and more efficiently, while also letting us do bigger projects on the system for improvement. The second announcement is the opening of 2 new positions in the water department. We have 2 new temporary spots open for the 2021 ditch season. If you or anyone you know are interested, we encourage you to apply. The work is very fulfilling. You get to make environmental changes, work alongside this project if you so choose, and get the experience necessary to gather licenses within the municipal water sector. Once again, if you or anyone you know is interested, please send them over to the City of Gunnison website and navigate your way to the job openings, and both openings should be listed at the very top of the list. I want to thank everyone for tuning in today and to enjoy my partners and colleagues' videos and projects as well. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.